on a deal that was good for both countries. In the last half hour, the new White House spokesman, Sean Spicer, has made his first press statement. He lambasted the media after reports that fewer people had come to see yesterday's inauguration than at that of Barack Obama's. Sean Spicer said the coverage was shameful and wrong.
Photographs of the inaugural proceedings were intentionally framed in a way, in one particular tweet, to minimize the enormous support that had gathered on the National Mall. This was the first time in our nation's history that floor coverings have been used to protect the grass in the mall. That had the effect of highlighting any areas where people were not standing, while in years past, the grass eliminated this visual. This was also the first time that fencing and magnetometers went as far back on the wall, preventing hundreds of thousands of people from being able to access the mall as quickly as they had in inaugurations past. Inaccurate numbers involving crowd size were also tweeted. No one had numbers because the National Park Service, which controls the National Mall, does not put any out. By the way, this applies to any attempts to try to count the number of protesters today in the same fashion. We do know a few things, so let's go through the facts. We know that from the platform where the president was sworn in to 4th Street holds about 250,000 people. From 4th Street to the media tent is about another 220,000. And from the media tent to the Washington Monument, another 250,000 people. All of this space was full when the president took the oath of office. We know that 420,000 people used the D.C. Metro public transit yesterday, which actually compares to 317,000 that used it for President Obama's last inaugural. This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period, both in person and around the globe. Even the New York Times printed a photograph showing that a misrepresentation of the crowd in the original tweet in their paper, which showed the full extent of the support, depth, and crowd and intensity that existed. These attempts to lessen the enthusiasm of the inauguration are shameful and wrong. The president was also at the Central, as you know, the president was at the Central Intelligence Agency today and greeted by a raucous overflow crowd of some 400 plus CIA employees. There were over 1,000 requests to attend, prompting the president to note that he'll have to come back to greet the rest. The employees were ecstatic that he's the new commander-in-chief, and he delivered them a powerful and important message. He told them he has their back, and they were grateful for that. They gave him a 5-minute standing ovation at the end in a display of their patriotism and their enthusiasm for his presidency.
That was Sean Spicer, who's the press secretary at the White House. We'll get used to seeing him, I reckon. Our correspondent David Willis, he's very familiar to us. He's in Washington. Size matters then, David.
It clearly does, Martine. Yes, indeed. Sean Spicer, you've got to, in a way, be sorry for him. He looked like a man who had been sent out to say something by the President of the United States, knowing that the President of the United States would be watching every second of it. I mean, this was an attack dog type thing that was going on here. We've never seen anything like that in recent times. And clearly, the battle lines are being established here. This was Sean Spicer on the second day of this new administration, basically saying to the media, we are going to hold you accountable. And he lashed into us all for false reporting, for inaccuracy, for dishonesty, for sowing division. The list goes on and on. But it wasn't a briefing because he took no questions at all. And this is traditionally, of course, a role which is fulfilled by somebody who acts, as it were, as a sort of bridge, if you like, between the media and the White House. Well, it doesn't look as though there's going to be much of a throughput, if you like. It's going to be a one-way street, perhaps, with this new administration.
If it carries on at this pace, in this pitch, David, it will be quite exhausting for everybody. And, of course, Donald Trump chose to go to the CIA as his first visit, didn't he? I mean, most previous presidents haven't gone to Langley for months and months.
Absolutely. And that all engineered, of course, around making this point that there has been false reporting, as the administration puts it, of the Trump team's approach to the CIA. Well, a lot of it, of course, has been brought on by Donald Trump himself. Nonetheless, he claimed that they had no greater supporter when he went there today. And Sean Spicer said that he received a 5-minute standing ovation. Well, we didn't get a feel for that from the pool pictures, it's fair to say, whether there was or there wasn't. But certainly what Sean Spicer was saying in that press briefing, Martine, echoed more or less word for word what Donald Trump was saying while he was addressing the CIA. And there are those who feel that perhaps that moment he would have been better, instead of trying to settle scores which, you know, in a way he's set by his own hand, if you like, he would have been better off being perhaps a little bit more reflective, a little bit more statesmanlike. But you know, this is the new world that we live in,
isn't it? We'll get used to it in the end. David, thank you very much. David Willis in Washington. I don't know why he's laughing. Theresa May will be giving her reaction to Donald Trump's inauguration on the Andrew Marr Show tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. You're watching BBC News. It's 12 minutes past 11.